Another X-Men spin-off debuts this week with the release of Excalibur #1 from writer Tini Howard and artist Marcus Toe. This is part of the ongoing new status quo lineup for X-Men comics, where all the mutants are living on the island nation of Krakoa. But this new series, Excalibur, well, if you've read any Excalibur comics before, you know this one's going to have a bit more of a British bent to it, and in addition to that, there's also a bit of Arthurian legend in here. So any fans of The Sword and the Stone or Camelot may find something to enjoy in this title as well. But before we go on, just want to let you know there's going to be spoilers in this video. Going to be going through the whole plot of the issue, guessing maybe what will happen next in the upcoming part of the story, and talking a bit about the character moments here as well as the art. Now, overall, this is, for me, a pretty good issue of Excalibur. I enjoyed it. I'll be continuing to read it as it goes on. But honestly, just between me and you, I have not read a lot of Excalibur comics over the course of my life. You know, there was 130 or so issues, I think, in the first volume, and they've done a couple of volumes since then, some miniseries, New Excalibur by Chris Claremont a decade or so ago, I think maybe 2003 actually, and some other relaunches, revamps of this title. So this is maybe not quite an evergreen X-Men title, but something that whenever there is a new relaunch of the X-Men universe, you can be sure to bet that Excalibur will be usually part of it. But it's not always, in my experience, there's not always a direct tie to the British origins of the title. You know, Chris Claremont, the original writer, was a bit of an Anglophile, and the artist Alan Davis, of course, himself is British. So the original Excalibur, going back to the 80s, was formed, I believe, when Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler believed that the other X-Men had all died. So they started a new supergroup with some British characters, including Captain Britain, in the first volume of Excalibur. But again, I didn't read a lot of those. I read some of the Warren Ellis stuff. I read some of the stuff near the end written by Ben Robb. But I'm not super familiar with Excalibur, to be honest. But in this issue, they went a lot deeper into the Arthurian legend than I believe they probably even have ever before in Excalibur, although I could be absolutely wrong about that. Let me know in the comments. So this issue, this new volume from 2019, starts with a scene in a place called Otherworld, which is essentially where Camelot resides in the Marvel Universe. And at this point, apparently the royal family, whether that includes King Arthur or not, is indisposed. They're out of the picture. It is as yet undetermined if we're going to be seeing them in upcoming issues, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised. But we do meet our antagonist for this series fairly early on, Morgane Le Fay, Queen Morgana, the witch from the Arthurian legends that lives on Avalon and is in some way, I believe, Arthur's sister or half-sister, something along those lines. But I'm not sure exactly if it's the same story in the Marvel Universe. Slight tangent, it's kind of interesting that they're using this character here because she's also getting a little bit of screen time in the new season of Runaways on Hulu. So if you're watching that, maybe you noticed that Elizabeth Hurley has been cast as Morgana. But I don't think they're going on model for Elizabeth Hurley here. Doesn't look quite like the actress. But the plot starts with her being bothered by Krakoan flowers, Krakoan leaves showing up in her scrying pool. And she's upset about that, so she assigns one of her knights to figure out what's going on here, get these leaves out of my scrying pool. I think it's unclear if they're causing any actual trouble, like maybe it's making it more difficult for her to see things in the scrying pool. But, you know, she's bothered by it. But who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be bothered by leaves in their scrying pool? Now, on the other end, well, we're not quite sure if this is the gate, but there is a gate that opened up on Krakoa. So if it's going from, we know it's going from Otherworld, but is it going from the scrying pool to Krakoa? That part, I think, is still unclear. But Apocalypse notices on Krakoa this new gate. Oh, and also Apocalypse has himself a new code name now, which is kind of like, if you remember that meme, E. Well, he's just going by A. EA Sports. It's in the game. But that's kind of silly, I guess. Well, it's actually this this sort of fancy font, like the Hickman Krakoan font for A. And he keeps asking. He has like 3 different characters in this issue. My new name is A. Call me A. And that's, it's kind of silly. But he's not the only one with a new name in this issue. We've also got everyone's favorite mutant Goldballs. He's now going by Egg, which is not much better than A. I mean, it's sillier and sillier. And then one person who's given up their existing code name that they've had, well, since my childhood, is Betsy Braddock. A lot of kids grew up knowing her as the Asian assassin Psylocke. She got trapped in Quanen's body, but they, after decades, they finally undone that body swap. So now Psylocke is just normal old English, British Betsy Braddock again. And people are still calling her, mutants on Krakoa are calling her Psylocke. But she's like, no, I'm just going by Betsy now. She runs into Jubilee, another interesting character, because she's still walking around with this baby, Shogo, that she stole off a train in 2013. And I just, that story always confused me. I don't know exactly what the point of the baby was. I'm not sure why the baby's still here. But Shogo, that baby, is still around. Jubilee refers to the child as her son. So I'm not quite sure what the deal is with that. Jubilee also, strangely enough, looking retroactively even younger than before. I mean, I know that like when she first appeared, she was like a tween, basically, like 14 or 15. This runaway that followed Wolverine back through a portal to Australia. But she's still kind of looking like that in this issue, like 14, if not 13 or 12. She's looking very young, so it's even stranger to have her talking about her son, this baby, again, that she just found in this, the Brian Wood Clay Mann issues of X-Men from 2013. So again, if you got more information on that story, let me know. There's also a couple subplots in here with some characters that I've never seen before. They might be new characters. I think it's humans. One of them at the end of the issue gets invited into a magic coven. And I just Googled their names real quick and I didn't find any results for it, except for the Blackwood family. It seems like it might be the children, perhaps, of an old Marvel character called Crusader, who, is a knight type character. So there might be a connection there. It's still at this point kind of unknown, kind of strange. But like I said, I personally haven't read a lot of Excalibur. So maybe these, for fans of the series going back, these are characters you have a lot more familiarity with. So again, back to the plot here. A is trying to figure out, this portal on Krakoa. Why? How can we get through it? Like, it's locked down. He knows somehow that it's going to Otherworld, and he wants to basically build a house in Otherworld. Essentially, he wants to, again, allow mutants to populate this other world, but no one can get through. There is some thought that maybe Captain Britain's magical amulet would allow that. So A sends Betsy to go get her brother, Brian Braddock, and, request that he come back with her. But she does that. Brian, at the exact same moment, conveniently enough, has been summoned to Otherworld himself. So they go, Betsy and Brian both go to Otherworld. They've kind of got a side mission now, but as soon as they're there, Queen Morgana turns Brian into like a version of a Black Knight. I don't think the Marvel Black Knight, but he's basically he goes all black. He basically becomes a villain. And it seems like in upcoming issues, this is what this sort of ersatz Excalibur team is going to have to deal with. He pushes her through a portal, sends her back to Krakoa. Brian does, but before doing that, gives her his amulet, like a final noble gesture. And so she, with the amulet, now becomes the new Captain Britain. She shows back up on Krakoa, and at the same time, A also thought that, who else could open this portal? Maybe Rogue, because her power set is to take away other characters' powers and memories, so possibly that could weaken the portal. That there, I'm not quite sure what the reasoning is there, but hey, just go with it. They're on a roll. So Rogue tries to open the portal, but she gets shocked into or put into this sort of slumber. She's like a Sleeping Beauty character now. What could wake her up? Maybe her husband Gambit's true love kiss? I don't know. Maybe it's not going to be as simple as that. So now Gambit's in the picture. He wants to rescue Rogue. Jubilee's there because she was the last one to have a conversation with Betsy. Yeah, okay. And Captain Britain, the new Captain Britain's back. This is now Betsy Braddock. And A is on the team as well. So this is basically the core group of our new Excalibur. And where they go from here, it's anybody's guess. It's kind of a wild ride. And again, you know, A maybe is turning over a new leaf, but you know, I won't quite go as far as to say this is radically out of character. They do try to approach this early on in the issue that, you know, it used to be that Apocalypse was all about survival of the fittest, but now he sees that mutants raised in paradise can flourish and find their place in the world. But that is, I mean, that's not just out of character. That is a complete 180 for a character that since the 1980s in real time in publishing history has been all about, you know, trying to just put the pressure on and see, you know, get squeezing coal until you get a diamond, essentially. And for him to say like, yeah, you know, I'm cool now with the idea of everyone just growing up in paradise and not having any sort of adversity or obstacles or challenges, and that will make the best mutants. I mean, where they go with that is, I think, going to be kind of interesting. If I had to guess, what would I always guess? Well, Apocalypse pretty much always going to be a villain, I would assume. So if he's just doing sort of a spy situation, or, you know, he didn't quite actually go on the side of the angels or the heroes or the good mutants, you know, I would not be surprised if it turned out he was still ultimately the same old bad guy we've always known. But, you know, we'll have to keep reading to find out. So let me know what you thought of this issue and this review in the comments below. And also, you know, if you enjoyed the video, I always ask, please smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell for notifications if you haven't already. And to all the other artists out there, maybe you noticed I was drawing some Gambit and Psylocke today. If you're working on something, let me know what it is. And remember, if you want to become a better artist, the only way to do it is to keep drawing. So to all the artists out there, till next time, keep drawing.